Hey there, it's Jackie here. In case you and I haven't met before, that's who I am. I wanted to have a chat about something that's super interesting and something that I've been asked a lot about in recent months. So, there are many, many, many things that we as human beings can use as wonderful tools and resources to be able to become clear or get clarity, to be able to help us make decisions on what it is that we're looking at, what it is that we're faced with, and directions in life that we want to go, things that we want to navigate. So, other people can be part of those tools and resources. Other tools such as tarot cards, pendulums are just a few. And there's been quite a few different questions and conversations that clients have asked me to kind of have with them, and it's come up in their sessions as well. And they're not all the same, but they're in the same kind of basket per se. And what I want to make really, 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 really clear is that these wonderful tools, such as pendulums and crystals and um, tarot cards and all different other sorts of cards and scrying tools and ruins, they are tools and they can be potentially wonderful tools, but they also potentially can not be so great. And it's got less to do with the actual tool and more to do with what's behind it. So either the person that is utilizing the tool or the energy that's coming through that person, the emotions, the belief systems that are coming through that person. It's become really popular in the last little while to use these tools to make massive big decisions about our lives. And a lot of people will even use biofeedback, muscle checking technique. And I have used some of those tools throughout my life. What I would highly recommend is treat them just like they're another tool, another amazing tool. Don't limit yourself to just one tool or thinking that one tool is the be all and the end all of how you navigate yourself, the world around you, questions, answers, things like that. So be open to utilizing or allowing the tools that come to you or the right people to come to you that you need right now in this moment. Sometimes we can get really stuck in our mindset and our beliefs around, well, I always use this, so why wouldn't I always use this? Sometimes that is not going to be the right thing for us. Sometimes there are other things that really would be best for us to open up to, but because we're so closed down to it and we're so conditioned to, we form habits very quickly as human beings, way quicker than what we realize. And so we can form a habit to using something or to going to that person or whatever it is. And we close ourselves off then to the potential of utilizing completely other different tools, maybe tools that we don't even know of, we're not even heard of, we're being introduced to them. And we prevent that from being able to come into our attractive field. Our heart brain is designed to be able to attract the things to us that are most serving of us at this moment in time. But if we're locked and loaded with certain viewpoints and attachments to things, then that's not going to happen. So that would be my first suggestion, is make a declaration that I'm not going to attach myself or overly attach myself to things or people or the ways that I've been doing things in the past. And I'm going to let my heart brain and its amazing attractive field do what it naturally does best, which is attract to me exactly what it is that I need in order to be able to navigate this particular point in time, or to help me get clarity on this question, whatever it is. Okay. The other thing is, if you are using these tools yourself, then you need to be very clear on who is it that you're actually asking the questions of. So what always comes up for me in my sessions, what I've worked with for years and years and years and years and years, is that I am asking the innate wisdom. Now, the innate wisdom doesn't have a personality, it doesn't have a gender, it doesn't have emotions about things. It's very neutral, it's very based on understanding the picture of the whole, understanding everything, being able to see everything. It has all the information to everything, and that it's focused on the priority. So what is the most important thing? So if I, for example, was going to be using a scrying tool or a pendulum or something like that, my intention is that I am having a direct conversation with the innate wisdom, and that I'm going to let the innate wisdom present whatever information it is that needs to be presented. If you are doing this without any conscious thought or understanding or awareness of who it is that you're actually asking these questions of, or what part of you are you actually asking these questions of, you can get answers coming in from anywhere, from any part of you. And that could be parts of you that are really sabotaging, or you can get interference and communication coming through from anywhere. The other one that I quite often I put in as being one and the same as my innate wisdom is consciousness. I'm searching consciousness for help me get some clarity on this one piece here that I have. And it's not the be all and the end all for me. I don't base, especially massive life-changing potentially decisions, I will not base it on the answers that I get through with that. So it's a tool. You don't use that, get your answer, and then say, okay, well, I've got my answer, now I'm going to do it. And the reason for that is all the information that you bring in through you comes in through your 5 senses: hearing, sight, smell, taste, and touch. Comes in through your intuitive senses, and a lot of people don't have great intuitive system, I should say, not senses, intuitive system. The other thing that the information comes in through is the Wei Qi system. And when the information from reality, from consciousness, millions of bits of information per second streaming in through those systems, it gets filtered and it gets distorted and contorted, and we are not by any means getting an accurate viewpoint, understanding of reality at all. So there's been a lot of research that's gone into this, and what the research shows us is that we have so many filters attached to our 5 senses and attached to our Wei Qi and all through our mind, that what it is that we are actually seeing or hearing or feeling, by the time the information goes through all those filters, that it actually gets really distorted. And so where do those filters come from? A lot of different reasons, and I won't go into that in great detail today because that deserves a video on its own. But our experiences of the world around us can really put those filters in place, so they can then distort the way that we experience ourselves, other people, the world around us. So our experiences, there can be genetic and hereditary influences that come through, epigenetic, even past life factors can cloud the way that sensory information is brought in. So when you are using tools such as tarot cards or pendulums and things like that, when you ask the question has to be extremely clear, not an open-ended question. It needs a very clear, needs to be formatted in a way that you're going to require just a very clear yes or no answer. And otherwise, if you can't do that, then it means that you're not very clear on what it is that you're actually asking or what the thing is that sits before you. When you do ask a question, then the information that comes back through from whoever it is that you're asking the question to, whether it be innate or universal consciousness or your higher self, and ask yourself then, what is your higher self, or spirit guides or something like that. All that information then has to run through these systems and are squeezing through these filters, and the filters are distorting that information. So by the time you get the information coming through to your pendulum or to your cards, it's already been pulled apart, and you're getting just very small fragments of what that was that's coming through. So that's why it's super important to not rely on it 100% and to just regard it as a tool like you would with any other tool, where you come at it from the perspective of it might work, it might not work. And I'm going to take this information and I'm going to put it together with the other bits of information from the other tools and resources and people and things that I've got access to, but I'm not going to wholly solely base all my decisions on that. So there are filters that get in the way and distort the answers that come through. The other thing is we massively interfere with that process. We sabotage it and we hijack it all the time, all the time. And the reason for that is because we have agenda, and we have fear, and we have sabotage. So I want to give you a example, and I've seen this happen so many times over, where I've watched people that I've known in the past, say with a pendulum tool, and they have had this issue in front of them, and that issue has been maybe stressful, and there could be some emotion around it, like, gosh, if I make that decision, then that could potentially happen, and if I make that decision, then that potentially could happen. So already there's worry involved, already there's fear involved. And you know what happens when those kinds of things get involved and they're in there swamping around, messing around with your experience with this tool? And while you're asking questions, that fear has agenda and it has judgment. And that fear is going, please give me a yes. Please give me a yes. Please give me a yes. Now, you might not be consciously aware of this, but that is playing out through different levels of the mind and at different levels of consciousness. So you might be sitting there with a pendulum, and you might feel like that you've come into the space, that you're feeling pretty good about things, and you're like, I need to get answers on this thing. I'm just going to ask what I should do. And you come to your pendulum, and you might even have a pendulum map in front of you, and you might have done a weekend course around pendulum work even, but you come into it and you don't realize, but subconsciously you have an agenda to what it is you want that answer to be. So I've seen people then ask their question using the pendulum. And let me think of an analogy there. I have the opportunity to go in this direction and say yes to that opportunity. Or I have the opportunity to say yes to this career opportunity, and that gives me more money. My question is, do I pick that one or do I pick that one? And then I'm using my pendulum. And then it's messy and it doesn't work, and the person's like, well, I'm not really getting an answer. It's because your answer is messy and it's unstructured and you're coming from a sense of panic. So then your question would be, as a example, you could say, okay, thinking about this opportunity I have over here, should I say yes to that opportunity? And let's say the pendulum swings and gives you a really big clarifying yes. And the person goes, oh, okay, it said yes. Gosh, I was hoping it was going to be the other one. I'll just try again. And you swing and you say, is that one the right one for me to do? And the pendulum says no. And you're like, oh, phew. I didn't think it was. I didn't think it was. I was kind of hoping it was going to be that one. And so then you either take it from there and go, oh, yay, it said I'm supposed to do this one. It said, who is it? It said I'm meant to do this one. And then you go do this one. Quite often it just goes pear-shaped because there's so many things that are wrong with that process that we've already talked about, that you've probably already seen, that you're going in a direction that you were never meant to go in. But that happens a lot. So unless you can come and sit with these tools and you are as neutral as you possibly can be, and I mean neutral, you need to learn to develop a very interdependent relationship with these tools, not codependent. And you need to not base all your decisions just off the directives that come through those, and develop a really good understanding of what these tools are and how they work, and develop your systems, your instinctive, intuitive clarity systems in doing that. So it's practice, lots of practice, because we are designed to be able to use these, but we are so attached to outcomes and we are so judgmental and so fearful that we really interfere with probably well over 90% of all those processes that we do. So learning to come and sit in a space with these tools where you are as neutral as you possibly can. What does that mean? It means that you're not attached to the outcome. You don't care what the outcome is. You're A-OK. You're not going to base your decision off it, so it doesn't matter. It's just information. So if you can come at it from that perspective, then you're far more likely to get a more accurate result. And the last point about this, and this has been a common one that's been coming up recently because people are asking questions about things of other people, and the person who's asking the question is already triggered and affected by what it is that's going on for them. But the person that they're asking the question of, they also are triggered and affected by what's going on. And that's a disastrous combination. So let's just say, I'll give you an example about this. Let's just say I'm a tarot reader and you come to me wanting, you have a question, you have a bit of a big dilemma going on. Maybe you want to know if you should leave your partner or not because you feel like for a long time it's been distrustful, disrespectful, you know, you've outgrown each other, la, 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 la. So let's say you're in an absolute kind of quandary, should I leave my partner? And it's causing you a lot of stress and you're really upset about it and you don't know what to do, and you can kind of see two pros and cons for every single aspect. And then you come to me and I have, you don't know it, but I have pretty rigid belief systems around you don't walk away from a marriage. You don't walk away from a marriage. You know, you stick at it, you work through it. Marriage is forever. So when you come to me and you say, look, Jackie, I'm in a real spot of bother here. I'm so worried about this. Like, I have no idea. Do I stay with my partner or do I leave? And I go, oh, how could you even think about leaving your partner? You don't do that. Marriage is such a sacred thing. Why would you do that? And then I go, well, hang on, like I do, I'm a bit upset about that. It's a touchy subject. And, just please know that's just me. That's just my thoughts. But let's ask, let's ask the cards. Let's just see what comes through from spirit. And I'm not being disrespectful to anybody. I'm just giving you a really exaggerated scenario here to drive it home. If I am to come with my beautiful tools, such as cards, and sit with them, I already have agenda. I'm already triggered. And that is absolutely going to infiltrate, and it is going to influence the information that comes forth. It is going to cloud everything that comes out of that experience. So if you are teaming up with somebody, and it doesn't matter whether they are somebody that uses a tool like a pendulum or cards or psychometry, or whether it's a counselor, a psychologist, or whatever, if they have agenda and they cannot be neutral and they have no attachment to the outcome, and if they're not just 100% invested in holding space and being the best observer for you that they possibly can, then they're not right for you right at that moment. They could be in relation to other things, but just not for that, because of the agenda. The agenda clouds everything, and it affects the outcome of everything. So there is amazing potential to be had in utilizing these tools. They are phenomenal, and every single one of them has their special place. And some people will resonate with others more than they do with, other tools and resources. But we have to be very respectful towards them. We have to have a very good understanding and relationship with them as to what they are. And we have to really take responsibility for ourselves and our decisions. And the more we can learn that we have this incredible inbuilt, innate, intuitive system that is designed to help us navigate anything at all, then it's far less that we constantly need these other tools. And it is far more that we will first and foremost use ourselves as the main tool, and then we can pull in these other tools and resources as complementary parts and use them in very soft, gentle, complementary ways, rather than us pinning all of our hopes or helping us to make this hard decision on that thing or that person or the outcome of that. Yeah. So I understand that this can be a touchy subject because we invest a lot in this, and there's so many beautiful, beautiful people that we have in our community that actually are very, very skilled at a lot of these things. And my intuitive guidance to come and talk about this today is not aimed at anyone in particular. It really comes from this place of seeing quite a lot of suffering recently, and around these kinds of things, a lot of suffering, and we can't continue to keep suffering like this. It's not it's just not the way that we're meant to experience ourselves or the world around us. So if we can have conversations and bring insight to the table that then relieves the suffering and stops it from being there and changes the outcomes that we get, then why wouldn't we want to do that? Yeah. I would love for you to contribute your own thoughts and feelings about that, your own experiences of when you've maybe had these same situations come up for you, and then what the outcome was, or whether you found it really hard to get clear answers on things when you came into it with quite strong emotion, or whatever comes up for you, whatever sparks within you from this video. I would love to talk about it more. And if you would like any help in maybe, working through any of this kind of thing, or improving your own internal systems so that you can do that, and your own workings of your brains, your head brain, heart brain, gut brain, then you know where to find me. I have a great website, JacquieMcIntyre.com. I have an entire section dedicated to answering your questions and how you can book to be with me. Or better still, I encourage you to consider whether the My Incredible Orbit Academy is the right space for you, and jump in there and we can just power through and skyrocket your advancement and your evolution very quickly in that space. All right. Thanks so much for your time today. Look forward to seeing you next time. And enjoy yourself. Suck as much joy and peace out of the world as you possibly can. Bye for now.